September 27th, 1942. Richmond, California. Rain slicks the steel decks of the Kaiser shipyards, a sprawling jungle of cranes, riveters, and scaffolding that never sleeps. Sparks flash like gunfire in the night as men and women in overalls swarm over a half-built hull, their breath turning to mist under the glare of floodlights. Somewhere, amid the thunder of machinery, a foreman shouts over the din. "Keep her moving! The Peary sails in 4 days." It sounds impossible. A Liberty ship, 7,500 tons of steel and machinery, built in less than a week. Yet that's exactly what industrialist Henry J. Kaiser has promised the US Maritime Commission. And in wartime America, promises are as binding as orders. Kaiser wasn't a sailor, nor a naval engineer. Before the war, he built dams, massive ones like Hoover and Grand Coulee, carving rivers into submission. But in 1941, when President Roosevelt demanded a bridge of ships to Britain, Kaiser saw a challenge even grander than concrete: time itself. German U-boats were sinking Allied tonnage faster than it could be replaced. The Atlantic lifeline, food, fuel, and arms, was bleeding out. The British Isles could fall, not from invasion, but from starvation. Traditional shipbuilding was too slow. Each Liberty ship, though simple in design, took over 200 days to construct in a conventional yard. Kaiser's solution was radical: prefabrication. Build ships the way Detroit built cars. Weld, don't rivet. Assemble modules, bow, stern, engine room, midsections, simultaneously, then stitch them together like a steel jigsaw. It was an industrial gamble on a biblical scale. But Kaiser didn't gamble. He engineered certainty. At Richmond, he turned the bay into a sleepless city of steel. 12-hour shifts around the clock. Cafeterias, hospitals, childcare centres. All designed to keep his workforce, including thousands of Rosie the Riveters, working at peak efficiency. He didn't just build ships, he built an ecosystem of endurance. By midnight, floodlights blaze across the half-finished hull of the SS Robert E. Peary. The air smells of burning metal and seawater. Teams of welders crawl across the plates like fireflies, sealing seams with molten precision. The sound, a constant staccato rhythm, becomes the heartbeat of a nation racing against time. And overseeing it all, from a catwalk high above the yard, stands Henry Kaiser, hat pulled low, clipboard in hand, eyes fixed on the ticking clock. He's not here to watch a miracle. He's here to manufacture one. September 28th, 1942. Dawn breaks pale and cold over the San Francisco Bay. The shipyard doesn't rest. It never has. Floodlights fade against the morning haze as the graveyard shift files past the day crew, exchanging quick nods, lunch pails, and exhausted smiles. The hull of the SS Robert E. Peary looms behind them, larger than life. 441 feet of steel, still skeletal, yet already humming with purpose. From the catwalk, Henry Kaiser watches the changeover like a conductor before an orchestra. Beside him, Admiral Howard Vickery of the US Maritime Commission adjusts his cap, trying to mask disbelief. "You really think you can float that thing in 4 days, Kaiser?" Kaiser doesn't look away from the ship. "Not think, Admiral. No." The morning air rings with the hiss of welders, the clang of steel plates, the low bellow of cranes swinging massive sections into place. Kaiser's innovation, modular construction, unfolds in motion before their eyes. Prefabricated segments arrive on rail tracks, already fitted with pipes, wiring, and ladders. They slide into position like puzzle pieces, aligned by chalk marks and muscle memory. Each team knows its place. Every spark counts. He had borrowed the logic from Detroit's assembly lines. But unlike cars, these machines would sail into enemy waters. Each Liberty ship could carry 9,000 tons of cargo, enough food, trucks, or ammunition to sustain entire divisions overseas. And each hour saved meant lives spared in the Atlantic. By noon, the shipyard hums with organized chaos. Women welders, once waitresses and typists, crouch beside burly men, sealing bulkheads with arcs of blue-white fire. Cranes groan as they lower entire deck sections into place, cables whipping in the wind. Sparks fly, boots clatter, rivet guns hammer. It's not just construction, it's choreography. Kaiser walks among them now, clipboard tucked under his arm, shaking hands, shouting encouragement. His presence alone drives momentum. "Keep her hot," he bellows, voice cutting through the metallic thunder. "No cold seams today." To outsiders, it's chaos. To Kaiser, it's design. Every motion, every schedule, every meal break calculated. Behind the noise, a team of engineers works in a glass-panelled control room overlooking the yard, tracking progress by the hour, dispatching spare parts and replacement crews like field medics. The logistics are staggering. In Washington, bureaucrats doubted him. They said it couldn't be done, that building ships like cars was naive, dangerous even. But Kaiser didn't debate. He demonstrated. His shipyards in Richmond, Portland, and Vancouver were already churning out Liberty ships at record speed, one every 96 hours. The Peary would prove the limit could be pushed further still. As evening settles again, a fine drizzle returns, coating the yard in silver. The lights snap back on. A second sunrise for the night shift. Coffee flows. Music blares from tin radios, and the American industrial miracle rolls on without pause. Standing before the glowing hull, Kaiser allows himself a rare smile. "You don't beat tyranny," he murmurs to a nearby foreman. "By waiting for miracles, you build them." September the 29th, 1942, day 3. Rain still clings to the yard, but the workers move faster now, a blur of determination under flickering floodlights. The SS Robert E. Peary has taken shape overnight. Her spine and decks now welded into a coherent whole. The sound is relentless. Steel hammers striking plates, cranes screeching as they pivot, rivet guns hammering a syncopated rhythm that echoes across the bay. Henry Kaiser doesn't sleep. He walks the site in the early hours, coffee in hand, collar pulled up against the drizzle. Every few minutes, a foreman rushes up with an update. "Section 12, sealed. Bulkhead alignment done." And Kaiser simply nods, noting times on his clipboard. He's measuring not steel, but momentum. Inside the control room, a team of engineers hunches over blueprints and log sheets. One of them, a young woman named Margaret Daly, points to a timing chart on the wall. "At this rate," she says, pencil tapping the paper, "we're 12 hours ahead of schedule." The room buzzes with disbelief. Outside, the sound of welders punctuates the moment, like applause from the night itself. By midday, the ship's outline is unmistakable. Dockside, enormous prefabricated modules, cabins, funnel housings, engine casings, arrive on flat cars and are hoisted into position. Each section is already wired, piped, and painted. Workers merely guide them into place with chains and chalk lines. The old way, hammering every beam into place by hand, is gone. This is the new war industry, a rhythm that moves like a living organism. Kaiser steps out to the dry dock, boots crunching over steel filings. A riveter wipes her brow and salutes him with her welding torch. He grins. "How's she running?" "Hot as hell, sir," she shouts back, sparks bursting behind her. By late afternoon, the rain turns into mist, softening the harsh glare of the lights. The yard feels almost dreamlike. Thousands of faces illuminated by the glow of fire and fog. Foremen move through the crowds with clipboards and megaphones, shouting updates. "Deck 3 sealed. Engine compartment locked down." At one corner, a photographer from Life magazine snaps a shot of a woman welder balancing on a beam 50 feet above the deck, sparks cascading into the fog below like molten stars. That photo would later appear in newspapers across America under the headline, "Miracle Ship Rising." In Washington, news of the progress spreads like wildfire. The Maritime Commission cables Kaiser's office. "Your yard is breaking every record ever set." But Kaiser's only response is to push harder. Every hour saved, he reminds his supervisors, means another ship that reaches England. By midnight, the floodlights blaze again. Another false dawn. Teams rotate, but the rhythm never stops. Welders trade torches with fresh hands. Riveters hand off their guns. coffee and determination fueling the endless motion. At 3:00 a.m., Kaiser climbs back to the catwalk overlooking the bay. Below him, the SS Robert E. Peary is almost whole. Ribs, decks, smokestacks, all aligned. The rain has stopped. Steam from the welds rises into the night like incense. Kaiser removes his hat and breathes deeply. The smell of oil, salt, and iron thick in the air. "She'll sail," he whispers to himself, as if the ship could already hear him. September 30th, 1942, day 4. Before sunrise, the air over Richmond hums with anticipation. The rain has lifted, replaced by a cold, blue fog that rolls in from the bay. Thousands of workers, men, women, welders, riveters, engineers, cooks, crowd along the docks, some still clutching half-finished cups of coffee, others leaning on railings blackened by soot and salt. The SS Robert E. Peary, gleaming and complete, towers before them like a promise forged from exhaustion. At exactly 7:45 a.m., Henry Kaiser stands before the ship with a small group of officials and Navy officers. He looks up, hat in hand, jaw set. 4 days ago, there had been nothing but an empty dock. Now, before him, rises a 7,500-ton Liberty ship. Hull sealed, engines tested, propellers fitted. No one in naval history has seen such speed. Even Kaiser, the man who planned it, feels the weight of the moment. "Gentlemen," he murmurs to Admiral Vickery beside him, "she's proof that what we dream, we can build." The Admiral shakes his head, almost in disbelief. "You didn't build a ship, Kaiser," he replies. "You built time itself." At 8:00 a.m., the crowd hushes as a woman steps forward. Mrs. Robert E. Peary, widow of the famed Arctic explorer, clutching a champagne bottle wrapped in ribbons. Cameras flash. Reporters scribble in wet notebooks. The dockhands go still. Then, with one clean swing, the bottle strikes the bow and shatters into white spray. "I christen thee Robert E. Peary. Godspeed!" A whistle screams. The floodgates open. The ship groans once, then slides forward down the greased ways, her black hull cutting through fog and reflection. For a heartbeat, there is silence, the kind that hangs between disbelief and awe. Then a roar erupts from the crowd. Cheers, shouts, laughter, the thunder of thousands of boots stamping steel. Hats fly into the air. Some workers cry openly, their faces streaked with soot and rainwater. The ship floats, not just floats, sails. Tugboats circle her, horns blaring as she glides into the bay, white spray breaking against her bow. The miracle is complete. Henry Kaiser remains still for a long moment, watching the vessel drift out toward the horizon. In that instant, the sound of industry, the welders, the riveters, the cranes, fades into something almost spiritual. This is more than a ship. It's a signal to the world that America's industrial might can defy physics, that the factory floor can be as decisive as the battlefield. Reporters rush him for statements. One shouts, "Mr. Kaiser, how did you do it?" Kaiser simply smiles and says, "We believed we could, and belief builds faster than steel." By noon, telegrams flood Washington. Ship launched. 4 days, 15 hours. Roosevelt himself is briefed within the hour. Across the Atlantic, British officials read the news and weep with relief. The Liberty Fleet, once mocked as ugly ducklings, now symbolizes salvation. Each ship means more food for civilians, more tanks for North Africa, more hope for the free world. That evening, as dusk falls over the bay, Kaiser walks the empty yard alone. The floodlights are off now. The noise has stopped. In the stillness, puddles reflect the faint outline of where the ship once stood. The air smells of iron, oil, and salt, the scent of victory in its rawest form. He takes off his hat and looks toward the dark horizon where the Peary disappeared. "We'll build 100 more, he whispers, and faster. Within months, his yards would do exactly that, launching Liberty ships every 96 hours, fueling an Allied supply chain that would crush tyranny one welded plate at a time. America didn't just win the war with weapons. It won it with work, with sleepless nights, calloused hands, and the dream of men like Henry J. Kaiser who dared to make the impossible sail.